You may have seen a strange headline recently that the United States is bombing drug boats. At first glance, that sounds exaggerated, like internet shorthand or clickbait. But once you slow down and look at what's actually happening, the reality is more unsettling. Because this isn't a Coast Guard chase, it isn't warning shots, it isn't engines disabled and crews arrested. In 2025, the US military began carrying out lethal kinetic strikes against vessels it says were involved in drug trafficking in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific, under an operation now publicly acknowledged as Operation Southern Spear. These weren't boardings, they were strikes. In early September, US forces hit a Venezuelan boat the government described as a drug smuggling vessel. After the first strike, it's been reported that 2 people were still alive in the water. A second strike followed. That moment, firing again on survivors, is what triggered congressional hearings, legal scrutiny, and open debate about whether the US crossed a line under international law. And it wasn't a one-off. By December, the Pentagon confirmed dozens of strikes, with roughly 80 to 95 people killed, based on military figures. More strikes followed, including 3 vessels hit in mid-December, killing 8 more. Now here's the key thing. The US government says these boats were part of drug trafficking networks. It says intelligence placed them on known smuggling routes. It has used the term narco-terrorists. But publicly, no evidence of drugs on board has been released, and no court has ruled on the legality of these killings. Which brings us to the real shift. This isn't just about drugs. For decades, drug interdiction was treated as law enforcement: track, intercept, arrest. What we're seeing now looks different. It looks like targeted elimination. No arrests, no trials, no seizures shown to the public, just lethal force applied at sea, justified by intelligence, not evidence presented afterward. Legally, that matters. Outside a declared armed conflict, international law treats lethal force very differently. That's why legal scholars are arguing these strikes may violate human rights law, especially when survivors are killed. Strategically, it matters too. Once drug trafficking becomes a military target, not a criminal one, the boundary between policing and warfare starts to dissolve. And that raises a bigger question. If the US is willing to use military force, not just to stop drugs, but to kill suspected traffickers, what other problems get redefined as targets instead of crimes? Because once that line moves, it rarely moves back.